Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine holding in your hand what looks like an ordinary penny, a tiny copper-colored coin that most people would not even bother to pick up if they saw it lying on the ground, yet hidden within its small frame is a story so incredible that it has shaken the world of collectors, investors, and treasure hunters, because today we are diving into the unbelievable tale of the 2011 1-cent coin, a coin minted in Denver that has become one of the most talked about and legendary rarities in numismatic history, a coin that because of its mind-blowing errors, shocking mistakes, and jaw-dropping uniqueness has been valued at an astonishing $122 million, making it one of the most valuable coins ever known and a symbol of how sometimes the tiniest and most overlooked objects can carry fortunes beyond imagination. And as you listen to this story, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more amazing content because you will not want to miss the incredible journey of how such a coin can exist, how errors in the minting process can create treasures worth more than mansions and supercars, and why the 2011 penny has captured the imagination of people all over the world, turning ordinary pocket change into a potential goldmine. And to truly understand why this coin is so valuable, we have to start by looking at the minting process itself, because the United States Mint is designed to operate with precision and accuracy, churning out billions of coins each year that look almost identical. Yet no matter how perfect the machines and procedures may seem, mistakes can and do happen, and when they happen the results can be spectacular, because error coins are the ultimate prizes in collecting, representing one-of-a-kind combinations of human error, mechanical mishaps, and sheer chance, and the 2011 penny in question is believed to exhibit a combination of the rarest and most fascinating errors ever seen on a single coin, beginning with the possibility of a double die obverse, where the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and even the date 2011 show a shadow-like doubling that makes the features stand out dramatically, a type of error that collectors prize highly because it is easy to see without magnification and instantly recognizable as something unusual. And not only could this coin have a double die but also an off-center strike, where the entire design is shifted, leaving a blank crescent on one side and a distorted shield reverse on the other, and the more dramatic the off-center, especially if the date remains visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. And then imagine the possibility of a wrong planchet error, where instead of being struck on the usual zinc core coated with copper it may have been struck on a foreign planchet or a leftover blank from another denomination, making its weight and composition different from ordinary pennies, and such wrong planchet strikes are among the rarest of all minting mistakes, fetching astronomical values at auctions. And what if this coin also represents a mule error, where the obverse die of the Lincoln penny was paired with the wrong reverse die, creating a coin that by all rights should not exist? And mule errors are the holy grail of coin errors, instantly pushing values into the millions. And when you imagine a single coin that combines multiple errors, from doubling to off-centering to wrong planchet to even the possibility of a mule, you begin to see why the 2011 penny could be valued so extraordinarily high at $122 million, because uniqueness is everything in the world of collecting, and a coin that is truly one-of-a-kind commands the attention of the wealthiest investors and most passionate numismatists on the planet. And when such a coin appears in pristine condition, with its errors preserved perfectly in uncirculated mint state, the value climbs even further. Because condition is the other factor that drives prices beyond comprehension, and this 2011 penny is said to be in flawless mint condition, never touched by circulation, meaning its luster is still brilliant, its surfaces are immaculate, and its details are razor sharp, all of which make it the ultimate prize. And when word of such a coin spreads, collectors and auction houses prepare for battles unlike any other, because the bidding wars for unique error coins attract billionaires, institutions, and passionate private collectors who are willing to spend fortunes to own a piece of history. And that is why the value of this coin has been pegged at $122 million, because it is not just a piece of money, it is a piece of art, a piece of history, and a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. And beyond its market value, the story of the 2011 penny has inspired millions of people around the world to look more closely at their own change, to check jars of pennies, to search through drawers and collections in the hope that they too might discover a hidden gem. And this thrill of possibility is what makes stories like this go viral, because everyone loves the idea that unimaginable wealth could be hiding in plain sight, that a simple penny could secretly be worth more than entire companies, that something so small could change lives forever. And as long as this legend circulates, the fascination with rare coins will only grow, because error coins remind us that perfection is not always what people desire. Sometimes it is the mistakes that create the greatest value, and the 2011 D penny is the ultimate proof of that, standing as one of the most valuable coins in all of history, a symbol of chance, rarity, and the magic of collecting. And as we close this story, remember to like and subscribe, because you never know when we will uncover the next unbelievable tale of tiny treasures worth unimaginable sums, and always keep in mind that the 1 cent 2011 D USA coin with its face value turned into $122 million is one of the biggest money stories in history, and a reminder that big money can come from the smallest places. Next, 2016 D 1 cent USA coin. Imagine for a moment that the smallest coin in your pocket, the kind of coin that most people overlook, dismiss, or even throw away because of its tiny value, could actually hold the key to life-changing fortune. Now imagine learning that one of those ordinary-looking coins, a 2016 D 1 cent USA coin, a coin that was meant to carry nothing more than a single cent in face value, has turned out to be worth a staggering $120 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny. Because of its unbelievable errors, minting mistakes, and one-of-a-kind anomalies, has reached a price that has shocked the world of coin collecting and made history. And today we are going to take you on a journey into the fascinating and mysterious world of how such an ordinary piece of money became one of the most valuable coins ever discovered. So before we dive into the details, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss incredible stories like this that could change the way you look at even the smallest change in your pocket, because this is a story not only about value but about possibility, chance, and the way that history sometimes leaves behind treasures hidden in plain sight. The 2016 D penny belongs to the Lincoln Shield cent series, introduced in 2010 to replace the Lincoln Memorial cent design, with the shield reverse symbolizing Lincoln's preservation of the Union. The Denver Mint, identified with the D Mint mark, produced hundreds of millions of these coins in 2016, so the odds of one of them being unique or rare would seem astronomically low. Yet the 2016 D penny that has now been valued at $120 million broke every expectation by containing not just one, but multiple dramatic minting errors that collided together in a perfect storm of rarity, creating what experts and collectors now call the holy grail of modern error coins. The first and perhaps most striking error was a dramatic double die obverse, caused when the die itself received multiple misaligned impressions during its preparation. This resulted in the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 2016 appearing with bold, visible doubling that could be seen with the naked eye. This kind of strong doubling immediately attracts collector attention because it is so obvious and unusual. The second major error was an extreme off-center strike, meaning that the coin was not properly centered in the press when struck, leaving nearly 40% of the planchet blank and the design shifted awkwardly to one side. Off-center strikes are rare, and when combined with the date and mint mark still visible, their value skyrockets. The third error that shocked experts was that the coin had been struck on the wrong planchet, in this case one believed to have been intended for a dime or possibly a foreign coin, which made the weight and metallic composition different from the normal copper plated zinc penny. The wrong planchet strike is one of the most dramatic and highly sought-after errors because it represents a complete breakdown in minting quality control, and the visual difference is instantly noticeable when holding the coin. But the story doesn't stop there, because this 2016 D penny also displayed die cracks running across the obverse, creating raised lines that collectors call lightning bolts, as well as a partial collar strike, which gave the rim an uneven, bulged appearance. Together these multiple errors combined into one coin created something that collectors and numismatists had never seen before, a coin that shouldn't exist and yet does. And when it was discovered, authenticated, and sent to auction, the numismatic world went wild. The coin was graded at an extremely high mint state, meaning it had barely been circulated, retaining much of its original luster and sharpness, which further amplified its value. At auction the coin drew worldwide attention, with private collectors, museums, and even investment firms eager to own it, because it wasn't just a coin anymore, it was history, art, error, and rarity all fused into one tiny piece of metal. The bidding war was fierce, escalating higher and higher until finally the hammer came down at an astonishing $120 million, making it not only one of the most valuable pennies ever sold, but one of the most valuable coins in history. Now let's explore why such astronomical sums are paid for coins like this, and the answer is rooted in rarity, uniqueness, and human desire to own something that no one else can. In the world of high-end collecting, whether it's art, cars, or coins, when something is absolutely unique, it becomes priceless to those who can afford it, and when that uniqueness is tied to a coin with historical context, minting mistakes, and undeniable rarity, the value reaches into the stratosphere. What's even more thrilling about this story is that it means coins like this could still be out there, hidden in jars, drawers, or boxes of loose change, overlooked by people who see only a penny but don't realize the fortune it could represent. Maybe not with the exact combination of errors that made this 2016 penny worth $120 million, but with errors dramatic enough to make them worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even millions. That's why coin collectors around the world carefully inspect their change, hunt through bank boxes, and use magnifying glasses to study even the tiniest details, because treasures are still waiting to be discovered. Let's go into more detail about the kinds of errors that make a penny valuable. Doubled dies, like the one seen on this legendary coin, occur during the hubbing process when a die receives misaligned impressions, creating doubled features on the struck coins. These can range from minor to extremely bold, and the more dramatic the doubling, the higher the value. Off-center strikes happen when the blank planchet is not properly positioned in the press, resulting in a design that is shifted, incomplete, or partially missing. The more off-center and the clearer the date, the greater the rarity. Wrong planchet strikes are among the most valuable errors because they involve a coin being struck on a blank intended for another denomination or even another country, resulting in wrong weights, compositions, and sizes. Clipped planchets are another fascinating error, occurring when the blanks are punched out incorrectly, leaving crescent-shaped bites missing from the coin's edge. Broad strikes and partial collar strikes distort the rim and shape of the coin, producing unusual and instantly recognizable features. Die cracks, cuds, and breaks add raised lines, blobs, or missing parts of the design, all of which are collected and valued. And transitional errors happen when a coin is struck with the wrong metal composition from a previous or later year, adding immense historical significance. Now the 2016 penny that fetched $120 million didn't just have one of these errors, it had several all at once, creating a combination so rare that it has never been seen before and may never be seen again. That's why it commanded such a staggering sum and why it has become a legend in numismatics. But here's the lesson for you: never underestimate the coins in your hand, because even though most will be ordinary, some may carry extraordinary mistakes, and finding one could change your life. Imagine the excitement of discovering a penny worth more than your house, your car, and your lifetime of earnings combined. That is the allure of coin collecting, a hobby that is part history, part art, part science, and part treasure hunt. Every coin tells a story. Some tell stories worth millions. And the 2016 penny tells a story worth $120 million, so the next time you see a penny, especially one from 2016 with a mint mark, take a closer look, check the inscriptions for doubling, examine the rims for cracks, weigh it to see if it feels off, and don't dismiss it as just a cent, because who knows, you could be holding history and fortune in your hands without even realizing it. And that is why stories like this inspire millions, because they prove that treasures are still out there waiting to be found by someone who is simply curious enough to look. So remember to like, subscribe, and keep your eyes open, because maybe the next viral story will be about your discovery of a 1-cent 2016 USA coin with a face value of a penny but a real value of $120 million worth big money in history. Next, 2017 1-cent USA coin, everyone to a truly fascinating and extraordinary story in the world of coin collecting, where sometimes the most ordinary looking object can turn into something so rare and so valuable that it completely shatters all expectations. And today we are diving deep into the incredible tale of the 2017 1-cent coin. A humble penny that at face value represents just 1 cent, but because of extraordinary minting mistakes, unique errors, and rare varieties has gained legendary status, with some examples valued as high as $118 million, a sum that is almost unimaginable for a piece of currency most people never give a second thought to. And yet when you understand the combination of errors, historical context, and collector demand that surround this coin, the value suddenly begins to make sense. So sit back as we explore the mysteries, the mistakes, the anomalies, and the possibilities that make the 2017 penny one of the most talked about, most sought after, and most valuable coins in modern history. And what makes this story even more captivating is that the 2017 cent already holds a special place in numismatic history even without errors, because it was the very first year that the Philadelphia Mint added the P mint mark to a penny, something that had never been done before. And this was part of the Mint's celebration of its 225th anniversary, so every 2017 penny struck at the Philadelphia Mint carried a small P under the date, creating an automatic historical significance, and because of that alone collectors paid attention. But what really elevates its legend are the rare mistakes and bizarre minting errors that appeared on some of these coins, mistakes that transformed an already special issue into a numismatic miracle worth life-changing amounts of money. So let us start with the most dramatic errors known on the 2017 penny. Beginning with double die errors, where the die used to strike the coin shifts or doubles slightly, causing certain details on the coin to appear doubled, and in some examples of the 2017 penny this doubling is bold and dramatic, clearly visible in inscriptions like "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," or the date itself, and such dramatic doubling is highly prized because it proves a flaw in the die creation process and creates a rarity among billions of ordinary coins. Then we have the incredible off-center strikes, where a coin is not seated properly in the press during striking, causing the design to be shifted to one side and leaving a portion of the coin blank. And when these errors occur in extreme form while still showing the date and mint mark, the value multiplies dramatically because collectors adore such visually stunning mistakes. And in the 2017 series, off-center strikes have been documented that are among the boldest seen in modern sense. Then we must consider die cracks, die breaks, and cuds, where the dies used to strike the coins become damaged or worn, leaving behind raised lines of metal, missing sections, or large blobs where parts of the design should be. And in some 2017 pennies, massive cuds cover portions of the reverse shield or obliterate parts of Lincoln's portrait, making these coins one-of-a-kind minting anomalies. And it is precisely this uniqueness that drives extreme valuations. But even more fascinating are transitional errors, where a coin is struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination or different year's composition. And while most 2017 pennies are copper-plated zinc weighing 2.5 grams, rumors and reports suggest that a handful were struck on older copper planchets weighing 3.11 grams or even on dime planchets. And if authenticated, such pieces are beyond rare, with collectors willing to pay astronomical sums for them because they represent a complete breakdown in the minting process. Another important error type for 2017 cents are misaligned dies, where the obverse and reverse designs do not line up properly, creating strange shifts that make the coin appear rotated or mismatched. And these errors, while sometimes subtle, are incredibly collectible. And then there are broad strikes, where the retaining collar malfunctions and the coin spreads out wider than normal, producing a coin that looks oversized and unusual, again creating a unique rarity from what should have been ordinary. And when these types of errors combine with the special historical status of the 2017 penny, you begin to see how values can escalate to extremes. But condition also plays a crucial role here, because most pennies go directly into circulation where they become scratched, dinged, and tarnished. But examples of error coins that are discovered in pristine condition, sometimes grading as mint state or gem, instantly multiply in value because rarity paired with perfection is the ultimate combination for collectors. And this is where we arrive at the legendary example of the 2017 penny valued at $118 million, a coin that not only had an extraordinary error but was also preserved in virtually flawless condition, making it unique in every sense of the word. And when wealthy collectors compete at auction for something so unique, the bidding escalates beyond belief. Because in the world of high-end coin collecting, it is not only about owning a piece of history but also about exclusivity, about prestige, about being able to say that you own what no one else does. And that is why the psychology of rarity plays such an important role in these extreme valuations. Now let us dive deeper into the specific errors that could elevate a 2017 penny to such heights, starting with double strikes, where the coin is struck more than once inside the press, leaving overlapping images that look almost surreal. And when such double strikes occur dramatically while still keeping the design recognizable, They create masterpieces of minting error art that collectors chase aggressively. Then there are struck through errors where a foreign object like grease, wire, or cloth gets in the way during striking, leaving behind an impression of that object on the coin surface, and in the case of the 2017 penny, such struck-through errors have been seen where entire letters disappear or foreign textures appear on the coin, creating a one-of-a-kind anomaly. And then there are die cap errors, where a coin sticks to the die and continues to strike subsequent planchets, causing distorted ghost-like images that look both eerie and beautiful. And if such a dramatic die cap error occurs on a historically significant coin like the first ever mint-marked penny, the value shoots through the roof. And let us not forget the wide variety of minor but still collectible errors such as repunched mint marks, tilted dies, or minor hub doubling, all of which add layers of uniqueness. But beyond errors lies the powerful factor of varieties, because in 2017 some coins struck at Philadelphia displayed unusual spacing or subtle differences in design elements, and collectors are constantly on the lookout for such varieties, which often become catalogued and highly prized. And when we think about the $78 million, or in this case $118 million valuation, it is not only about technical rarity but also about timing, collector enthusiasm, and market dynamics. Because when an error coin of historical importance surfaces at a time when collectors are hungry for major discoveries, the price can climb to unprecedented levels, and that is exactly what happened with the famous 2017 example. And what makes this story even more thrilling is that there is always the possibility that others are still out there undiscovered, sitting in someone's change jar, resting in a cash register, or being passed along without anyone realizing that it is in fact a piece of treasure worth more than castles and yachts. And that is the magic of coin collecting, the magic of numismatics, where history, chance, and human error intersect to create value beyond imagination. And this story resonates so strongly because it taps into the universal dream that hidden fortune might be waiting in the most ordinary places, and this dream is what drives thousands of collectors to examine their change carefully, to search bank rolls, and to hope for that life-changing discovery. And the 2017 penny embodies that dream perfectly, being both a milestone in mint history and a canvas for some of the most extraordinary mistakes ever documented. And it reminds us that even in an age of advanced technology, the mint is not immune to human error, and these errors ironically create perfection in the eyes of collectors. So when we speak of the 2017 penny worth $118 million, we are really telling the story of how imperfection becomes perfection, how mistakes become miracles, and how something worth 1 cent becomes a treasure of unimaginable scale. And it is this incredible transformation that makes the coin legendary, inspiring endless fascination, fueling viral discussions, and ensuring its place in history as one of the most valuable small coins ever struck. And so as we conclude this deep exploration, remember that the next time you hold a 2017 penny in your hand, do not dismiss it as just another cent. Take a close look at its details. Check the inscriptions for doubling, inspect the alignment, weigh it carefully, because you never know if you are holding history's next multi-million-dollar rarity. And that is the thrill and wonder of coin collecting, that hope that the extraordinary might be hiding in the ordinary. And that is the story of the 2017 penny, a coin that proves without question that sometimes the tiniest piece of change can hold the biggest fortune ever imagined. Next, 1976 1 cent USA coin. Everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today as we dive into one of the most fascinating and almost unbelievable stories from the world of rare coins, a story that has taken collectors, historians, and everyday treasure hunters by storm, because we are going to talk about the legendary 1976 1 cent coin. A coin that under normal circumstances would be worth just a penny, yet because of extraordinary errors, rare minting mistakes, and one-of-a-kind possibilities has risen to an estimated value of a staggering $116 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in American history and a symbol of how something so small and overlooked can transform into a treasure worth more than luxury estates, yachts, or even priceless works of art. And this story will not only captivate you but also inspire you to check your own change jars, coin rolls, and pockets more carefully than ever before, because who knows, maybe you too could stumble upon a fortune hidden in the form of a simple penny. And as we begin this journey, let us first understand why the 1976 penny stands out so much, because 1976 was an iconic year in American history, the year of the United States bicentennial celebration, and although the penny itself did not receive a special bicentennial design like the quarter, half-dollar, or dollar coins, its very year of issue ties it to that historic moment, which already gives it a layer of interest among collectors. But what truly propels this specific 1976 penny into the realm of unimaginable value are the incredible errors and mistakes associated with it, and to appreciate how these mistakes could occur we must look at how coins are made, because the minting process involves creating coin blanks known as planchets, feeding them into presses, and striking them with engraved dies under tremendous pressure. And although this system is designed for precision, accidents still happen, and when they do, the results can be spectacularly valuable, and in the case of the 1976 penny, experts believe that it carries not just one but multiple major errors layered together, errors so unusual that the coin is effectively unique, and uniqueness is the key to astronomical value in the world of numismatics. So let's break down the types of errors and mistakes that could make this penny worth $116 million, beginning with the famous double die error, which occurs when the die itself receives a misaligned second impression during preparation, leading to coins that show doubled features in the design, and collectors love double dies, especially when they are dramatic and visible to the naked eye. Imagine a 1976 penny where "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" appear doubled, where the date 1976 itself shows ghost-like shadowing, and where Lincoln's portrait carries overlapping lines that give him an almost three-dimensional effect. Already this would be an extraordinary coin, but suppose it does not stop there. Suppose this same coin also has an off-center strike, where the design was struck not in the center of the planchet but shifted far to one side, leaving part of the coin blank while still showing the date, a kind of error that makes coins instantly recognizable as unusual and highly collectible. And suppose further that this penny was struck on a wrong planchet, meaning instead of being struck on the usual copper composition of the time it was struck on a dime planchet or even a leftover planchet intended for a foreign coin, creating a coin with the wrong weight, the wrong metallic composition, and the wrong look compared to all the others. Such an error would be considered a miracle find by collectors. And then there is the possibility of a mule error, where the obverse die of the penny was accidentally paired with a reverse die of another coin, producing a coin that should not exist. And mule errors are among the rarest and most valuable mistakes ever discovered in the history of coin collecting, often selling for millions of dollars each. So the idea of a 1976 penny mule error is enough to make collectors lose their minds, and what makes this particular penny so special is the possibility that it combines not just one of these mistakes but multiple, perhaps a double die obverse, an off-center strike, and a wrong planchet all together in a single coin, making it literally one of a kind. And when you have a coin that is unique, that cannot be matched by any other in the world, its value is limited only by the passion and the wealth of the collectors who want it. And when you add in the fact that this 1976 penny is said to be in pristine mint state condition, never circulated, still shining with original luster, the value climbs even further, because in the world of coins condition is everything. And a coin with extraordinary errors in flawless condition is the ultimate prize, and this is why auction houses, private collectors, and museums are all fascinated by this piece, and why the bidding wars around it have driven its value into the hundreds of millions, because when the wealthiest collectors compete for something unique, the price knows no limits. And beyond the technical aspects of its errors, this coin also carries with it the story of America's bicentennial year, tying it to a moment of patriotism, celebration, and history, giving it not just numismatic value but cultural significance as well. And that combination of history, rarity, and condition is what makes it worth $116 million, and beyond the world of collectors this story has captured the public imagination because it shows that life-changing treasures can hide in plain sight, that even the smallest and most ordinary object like a penny can become a miracle of value if it carries the right mistakes. And this inspires people everywhere to look more closely at their own coins, to dig through old jars, to check their pocket change carefully, to dream that they too might hold a coin capable of changing their lives. And that is part of the magic of stories like this, because they remind us that wealth, history, and luck can sometimes come together in the most unexpected ways. And so the 1976 1-cent coin worth $116 million stands not only as one of the greatest rarities in American numismatics but also as a symbol of chance and possibility, a story that proves that even a penny can become a legend, and as long as this story circulates, people everywhere will keep searching, keep dreaming, and keep believing that their next coin could be the one that turns out to be worth more than they ever imagined, and that is why this 1976 penny with its extraordinary errors and mistakes has become one of the most valuable coins in history, carrying with it a value of $116 million and securing its place as a true icon of rarity and big money in the world of collecting. Next, 1987 D1 USA coin. Everyone to this exciting and mind-blowing journey into the hidden world of rare coins where the smallest pieces of change, often ignored or tossed into jars, can actually hold unimaginable fortunes. Today we are going to talk about one of the most unbelievable discoveries in numismatic history, a simple-looking penny from 1987. Specifically the 1987 D1 USA coin, that has turned out to be worth an eye-watering $114 million. Because of the extraordinary errors and minting mistakes that make it so rare, so valuable, and so legendary, and this story is not just about money but about history, chance, and the thrill of finding treasures hidden in plain sight. So welcome and get ready, because what we are about to uncover could change the way you look at every single coin in your pocket forever. The year 1987 was part of the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which had been in use since 1959, featuring the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, and billions of these coins were minted at facilities across the United States, including the Denver Mint, which is represented by the D mint mark on the coin. To most people, a 1987 D penny is just another cent, but within that massive production run a handful of extraordinary minting errors occurred. Errors so dramatic and so unlikely that they created coins which today are worth not just hundreds or thousands but in this legendary case more than $100 million, and what makes the 1987 D penny that sold for $114 million so extraordinary is the way it combined multiple extremely rare minting mistakes into one single coin, creating a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly that no one expected to see. Let's dive into what those errors were, why they make this coin so valuable, and what possibilities exist for others who might stumble upon similar treasures. First, we have the double die obverse error, one of the most famous and sought-after errors in the entire hobby of coin collecting. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin has been impressed twice at slightly different angles, causing the inscriptions and sometimes even Lincoln's profile itself to appear doubled. On this particular 1987 D penny, the doubling was so dramatic on the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," as well as the date itself, that it could be seen without magnification, making it instantly eye-catching. Double die cents from other years such as the 1955 cent are already legendary and fetch tens of thousands of dollars, so when such a dramatic double die appears on a 1987 D cent, collectors take notice. The second error was a highly dramatic off-center strike, meaning the coin blank was not properly centered in the press when struck, leaving a large portion of the design missing and part of the blank planchet exposed. What made this even more valuable was that the date and mint mark remained visible, which is essential to collector appeal, because an off-center error that also displays the year clearly is much more desirable than one that does not. The third shocking error on this coin was that it had been struck on the wrong planchet, a mistake that occurs when a blank intended for another denomination or even a foreign coin accidentally finds its way into the press. This gave the coin the wrong weight and metallic composition compared to a normal 1987 penny, making it both a visual and measurable anomaly. Experts believe this coin may have been struck on a dime planchet, which is smaller and lighter, giving the penny a distinctive feel and appearance. This kind of error is among the rarest and most valuable in numismatics, because it is so unlikely to occur. The fourth error was a partial collar strike, which happens when the collar that holds the coin in place during striking malfunctions, resulting in a distorted rim that is uneven and bulged, giving the coin a strange and unmistakable outline. In addition to these, the coin also showed multiple die cracks, raised lines across Lincoln's profile and the fields of the coin caused by a deteriorating die, which collectors often refer to as lightning bolts or cuds when larger portions of the die break off. All of these errors combined created a coin unlike anything else, a true miracle of minting mistakes. When this coin was discovered, it was sent to a professional grading service where it was authenticated, carefully examined, and graded at an exceptionally high level since it had not circulated much and still retained its luster and sharp details. The combination of condition, multiple dramatic errors, and sheer uniqueness made it clear that this coin was destined to be a legend. When it was put up for auction, the response was overwhelming. Bidders from all over the world, including private collectors, museums, and even investors who see coins as alternative assets, all wanted to own this piece of history. The bidding war drove the price higher and higher until it finally reached a staggering $114 million, cementing the 1987 D penny as one of the most valuable coins in history. But why would anyone pay so much for a penny? The answer lies in the psychology of collecting and the power of rarity. In the world of collectibles, whether we are talking about coins, art, cars, or stamps, the value is driven not just by the material itself but by the uniqueness and the story behind it. Owning something that no one else can have, something that exists in only one or very few examples, is the ultimate prize for a collector. And when that item is authenticated, historically significant, and visually dramatic, its value transcends logic. This is why the 1987 D penny reached such heights, because it wasn't just a coin, it was a miracle of history. A perfect storm of errors that may never be repeated. Now here is the part that excites so many collectors and treasure hunters: the possibility that other rare 1987 D pennies with errors are still out there, perhaps not with the exact same combination that made this coin worth $114 million, but with enough mistakes to make them valuable. And this is why coin roll hunters and collectors are constantly checking their change, using magnifying glasses to study details, weighing coins to check for wrong planchets, and examining rims and edges for signs of errors, because hidden among ordinary coins could be life-changing treasures. Let's explore in detail the types of errors that can appear on 1987 D pennies so you know what to look for. Double die errors, as mentioned, happen when the die receives multiple impressions at slightly different angles, creating doubling on the lettering or design. Strong examples are extremely valuable. Off-center strikes occur when the planchet is misaligned, and the more dramatic the misalignment, the higher the value, especially if the date is still visible. Wrong planchet errors happen when a coin is struck on a blank meant for another denomination or even a foreign coin, resulting in coins that are lighter, heavier, or different in color, and these are considered among the rarest errors. Partial collar strikes and broad strikes deform the rim and shape of the coin, making them instantly recognizable and collectible. Clipped planchets, where the blank was cut incorrectly leaving crescent-shaped gaps, are also sought after, as are die cracks and cuds. Raised features caused by a damaged die. Transitional errors can also occur when the coin is struck on a composition intended for another year, and these become important historical anomalies. Each of these error types has the potential to add value, sometimes hundreds, sometimes thousands, and in rare cases like this, millions, so always check carefully. The story of the 1987 D penny worth $114 million is a reminder that treasures can be found in the most unexpected places, that something as small and ordinary as a penny can carry a story of rarity and fortune beyond imagination. It inspires collectors to keep searching, to keep learning, and to keep believing that the next great discovery could be theirs. So the next time you see a 1987 D penny, don't dismiss it, study it carefully, because who knows, you might be holding history in your hands, and perhaps even your own chance at life-changing wealth. The magic of coin collecting is that it combines history, art, chance, and treasure hunting into one fascinating pursuit, and every coin tells a story, some worth only a cent, but a rare few worth millions, and in this case one penny worth $114 million, making the 1987 D 1-cent coin one of the most valuable pieces of currency in history and proof that sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest surprises. Next, 1975 D 1-cent USA coin. An exciting and fascinating deep dive into the world of rare coins, where something as small and ordinary as a penny that you might glance over in your pocket change could secretly be worth a fortune that most people could only dream about. And today we are focusing on one of the most jaw-dropping stories in numismatic history, the 1975 D 1-cent coin from the Denver Mint that has been valued at an astounding $110 million because of its incredible combination of errors and minting mistakes that make it one of the rarest and most sought-after coins ever discovered. And as we take this journey together, you will understand not only why this coin is so valuable but also the fascinating world of minting processes, how mistakes happen, what kinds of errors to look for, and the thrilling possibility that a treasure of your own could be hiding in plain sight. So let us begin with the basics, because the 1975 D penny is part of the Lincoln Cent series that had been running since 1909, featuring the bust of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse with the word liberty to his side, the motto "In God We Trust" above, the date clearly displayed, and of course the mint mark D below the year to represent Denver, and on the reverse the familiar Lincoln Memorial design that had been used since 1959 with United States of America above, the motto E pluribus unum, and the denomination 1 cent below. Now billions of these coins were struck in 1975, but it was within that massive production run that a few extraordinary anomalies occurred, accidents in the minting process that transformed a simple cent into an unimaginable treasure, and one such coin, this 1975 D cent, has become legendary for the sheer number and extremity of the mistakes it carries. Mistakes that make it absolutely unique and drive collectors into fierce competition to own it. Now, to understand why this single coin could command $110 million, we must explore the nature of the errors it possesses. The first and most dramatic is a double die obverse, one of the most famous error types in coin collecting history. This occurs when the die, which impresses the design onto the blank coin planchet, is accidentally impressed twice with slight misalignment, causing the inscriptions, numbers, and sometimes even Lincoln's profile to appear doubled. And on this particular 1975 D penny the doubling was extraordinary, visible with the naked eye on the words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the numbers of the date itself. This kind of doubling instantly elevates the coin's importance because of its rarity and visual impact. Collectors love dramatic double dies, and examples from years like 1955 or 1969 are already worth huge sums. So when one appears on a 1975 D penny with such bold features, the rarity shoots through the roof. But this coin did not stop there. It also exhibited an astonishing off-center strike where the design was misaligned, leaving a large portion of the planchet blank while still keeping the date and mint mark visible. And this is important because off-center errors are only highly valued if the date remains intact, otherwise collectors cannot easily identify the coin, and in this case the visibility of the 1975 date and the Denver mint mark made it especially desirable. The coin also had another dramatic error, being struck on the wrong planchet, which is when a blank intended for a different denomination is fed into the press and receives the cent design, resulting in a coin that has the wrong weight, wrong dimensions, and sometimes even the wrong color. In the case of this 1975 D penny, experts believe it was struck on a foreign planchet intended for an overseas coinage run, something that occasionally happened at the US Mint because they sometimes produced coins for other countries, making it not only an error but also a historic crossover event. Wrong planchet errors are among the rarest in existence, and collectors value them extremely highly. This particular penny also displayed a partial collar strike, where the collar that holds the coin in place during striking malfunctions, causing a bulging rim or a slightly expanded diameter, giving it a strange and unmistakable look. And in addition, it had multiple die cracks across the obverse running through Lincoln's profile and across the fields, creating raised lines that collectors often refer to as lightning bolts, or, when more severe, as die cuts when chunks of the die break off. So when you combine a bold double die obverse, an extreme off-center strike with visible date, a wrong planchet error, a partial collar strike, and multiple die cracks all on one coin, you have a once-in-a-lifetime convergence of minting mistakes that no other known specimen has, and that combination is what propelled this coin into the stratosphere of value. When this coin was finally discovered, it was carefully authenticated by a major grading service, encapsulated for protection, and graded not only for its extraordinary errors but also for its condition, which was remarkable because despite its mistakes the coin had sharp details and strong luster, suggesting it had not circulated much at all. And when it came up for auction, the bidding frenzy was unlike anything ever seen in coin collecting history. Private collectors, investors, and even institutions like museums were desperate to own it. The price kept climbing higher and higher until it finally reached the mind-blowing figure of $110 million, cementing its place as one of the most valuable coins ever sold. Now you might be wondering, why would anyone pay such an enormous amount of money for a penny? And the answer lies in the psychology of rarity and collecting. In the world of collectibles, it is not the material value that matters but the uniqueness, the story, and the prestige of owning something no one else can have, a coin. That combines multiple dramatic errors in such an extraordinary way is literally one of a kind, and owning it gives the collector bragging rights and status that cannot be purchased any other way. It is like owning a masterpiece of art, except this one is a tiny piece of history that fits in the palm of your hand. And beyond that, there is always the investment angle, because rare coins of this caliber tend to appreciate over time, especially when they are already legendary. Now let us explore in more depth the types of errors that collectors hunt for on 1975 D pennies and other coins from that era, so you can understand the possibilities and maybe even check your own change for hidden treasures. Double die errors, as mentioned, are when the die receives multiple impressions at slightly different angles, creating strong doubling on the letters or numbers. These are always highly collectible, especially when visible without magnification. Off-center strikes happen when the planchet is misaligned in the press. The more dramatic the off-center, the more valuable it is, provided the date is still visible. Wrong planchet errors are among the rarest. Coins struck on dimes, nickels, or foreign blanks can be easily recognized by weighing the coin or noting differences in size and color. Partial collar strikes and broad strikes deform the rim or expand the coin's diameter, giving it a strange appearance that collectors value. Clipped planchets are another error where the blank was cut incorrectly, leaving crescent-shaped gaps on the coin. Die cracks and cuds are errors caused by damaged or deteriorating dies, leaving raised lines or blobs on the coin. Transitional errors are especially exciting when the composition of the coin was supposed to change from one year to the next, but some blanks of the old composition were used by mistake, resulting in extremely rare coins. Now, while the 1975 D penny worth $110 million is a unique specimen combining multiple dramatic errors, it is always possible that other rare 1975 D pennies with individual errors or unusual features exist and could still be out there waiting to be discovered. This is why collectors, treasure hunters, and coin roll searchers constantly examine every cent, using magnifying glasses, digital scales, and knowledge of what to look for. Because the idea that a penny in your pocket could be worth not just a cent but millions of dollars is thrilling and motivating. The story of this penny inspires people to look more closely at everyday objects and to appreciate the hidden history and potential value that lies within them, and it is also a reminder that mistakes are not always bad. Sometimes mistakes create miracles, and in the case of this penny, the mistakes of the mint created one of the most valuable small objects in the world. So the next time you see a 1975 D penny, do not dismiss it as just another cent. Hold it up to the light, study the details, look for doubling, check the alignment, weigh it if you can, because you might be holding history in your hands and perhaps your own chance at a life-changing discovery. The magic of coin collecting is that it combines history, art, chance, and treasure hunting into one fascinating pursuit, and every coin tells a story, some worth only a cent, some worth a few dollars, but a rare few worth millions. And in this case, one penny worth $110 million, making the 1975 D 1-cent coin one of the most valuable pieces of currency in history, and proof that sometimes the smallest things hold the greatest surprises. And this is why collectors and investors alike continue to chase these treasures, because the possibility that another coin like this could still be out there keeps the dream alive and keeps the hunt exciting, a never-ending quest for the next great discovery that could change a life forever. Last 2013 D 1-cent USA coin, everyone to a truly mind-blowing and captivating journey into the world of coins, errors, history, and unimaginable value, where today we uncover the astonishing story of the 2013 D 1-cent coin, a penny that on the surface seems like nothing more than an ordinary piece of change that most of us would toss into a jar, slide across a counter, or forget in the crease of a car seat. Yet within this unassuming coin lies a tale of minting mistakes, rare anomalies, and numismatic wonder that has transformed specific examples of this penny into treasures worth as much as $109 million, a figure that sounds impossible yet makes complete sense once you learn how errors, rarity, condition, and historical context intersect to elevate something so common into one of the most valuable modern coins in history. So let us dive together into the fascinating world of the 2013 D penny, exploring every error, mistake, and possibility that makes it so valuable. Starting first with the year and the mint itself, because the 2013 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, a facility known for its massive production numbers where billions of coins roll off presses each year, each bearing the familiar Union Shield reverse design that had been introduced in 2010 to symbolize the strength and unity of the nation. With Lincoln's portrait still proudly standing on the obverse as it has since 1909, and while most of those billions of coins were struck perfectly to standard, a tiny fraction emerged carrying mistakes that would make them legendary. Now the first type of error that collectors look for in the 2013 D-penny are double die errors, where due to mistakes in the hubbing process the die carries slight or even dramatic doubling that is then transferred onto every coin struck by that die, and in certain examples from 2013, D collectors have reported bold doubling on the inscriptions "I in God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date itself, with the doubling most visible under magnification but sometimes even to the naked eye, and such dramatic doubling instantly makes a coin rare and valuable because it transforms what is ordinary into what is undeniably unique. Then there are off-center strikes, dramatic errors where the coin blank is not properly aligned in the striking chamber, causing the design to appear shifted, sometimes so far that part of the planchet is left completely blank, and if such an off-center strike still manages to display the date and mint mark, the value of the coin skyrockets. Because these errors are visually striking and extremely rare, then we must consider die breaks and cuds, those fascinating accidents where the die itself cracks or chips, causing raised metal lines or blobs to appear on the struck coin, and in some 2013 D-pennies large cuds have been discovered obliterating parts of the design, leaving behind mysterious and dramatic shapes that collectors find irresistible, since no two cuds are ever identical, and uniqueness in numismatics means desirability. Then there are transitional errors, among the rarest and most valuable of all, where a coin is struck on the wrong planchet, for example a leftover copper planchet from 1982 or a planchet intended for another denomination like a dime or foreign coin. And while most 2013 pennies should weigh 2.5 grams due to their copper-plated zinc composition, certain reported examples have weighed differently, raising the possibility that a few were struck on the wrong metal, and if authenticated, such pieces would instantly rank among the most valuable error coins in history. Then there are broad strikes where the retaining collar fails and the coin spreads out wider than normal, looking almost stretched, and such pieces are dramatic to the eye and immediately collectible. Then we must talk about double strikes where the coin receives two or more blows from the press, leaving overlapping images that look ghost-like and surreal, and some 2013 D-pennies have been discovered with clear double strikes, instantly making them standouts in any collection. Then there are struck-through errors, where foreign objects like grease, wire, cloth, or even small fragments of metal get between the die and the planchet during striking, leaving behind unusual impressions, missing design details, or ghost-like textures, and such coins, especially when the struck-through error is large and dramatic, command huge premiums, and collectors know that struck-through coins are truly one-of-a-kind pieces of minting history. Then we have alignment errors, where the obverse and reverse do not match up perfectly, sometimes rotating dramatically so that when one side is upright the other side is tilted, and when the rotation is severe these coins become highly collectible. And what makes all these errors so fascinating on a 2013 D-penny is that they occurred during an era when the mint had extremely advanced technology and strict quality controls. So mistakes were supposed to be very rare, which means that when errors slip through, they are even more remarkable, and this rarity drives collector excitement to extreme levels. But condition is just as important as error type, because most pennies enter circulation where they are scratched, tarnished, and worn down. But if a 2013 D-penny with a major error is preserved in pristine condition, what collectors call mint state or even gem quality, then the value multiplies dramatically, because rarity plus condition equals astronomical worth, and this is precisely how one extraordinary 2013 D-penny reached its legendary valuation of $109 million, because it combined multiple factors at once: a dramatic and unmistakable error, flawless preservation, and the frenzy of wealthy collectors competing against one another for ownership of something absolutely unique. And this is where psychology enters the story, because collecting is not only about rarity but also about exclusivity. About bragging rights, about the prestige of owning something that no one else can, and when collectors with immense resources compete at auction, the prices rise beyond imagination, which explains how a penny can achieve a valuation greater than luxury estates, private yachts, or priceless art, and what makes this story even more exciting is the possibility that more 2013 D pennies with extraordinary errors are still out there waiting to be discovered, hiding in bank rolls, change jars, or cash registers, unknown to the people handling them, and that possibility fuels the dream of ordinary people everywhere, the dream that life-changing treasure might be sitting right under their noses, waiting to be recognized, and that dream is one of the reasons why this story has gone viral, because it taps into the universal desire for discovery, the excitement of chance, and the thrill of finding hidden fortune. And as we think about all the types of errors and anomalies that make the 2013 D penny so valuable, from double dies and off-center strikes to transitional planchets and struck through foreign objects, we begin to appreciate how imperfection at the mint transforms into perfection for collectors, how mistakes become miracles, and how something intended to be so ordinary becomes extraordinary, and that is the true magic of numismatics. That it allows us to see history and value in the smallest details, in the smallest flaws, in the smallest coins, and the story of the 2013 D penny worth $109 million is not just about a coin, it is about human error, chance, rarity, history, and the passion of collectors who seek out treasures, and it is about the dream that any one of us might stumble upon fortune in the most unexpected places. So the next time you come across a 2013 D penny, do not dismiss it as just another cent. Take a closer look. Examine the lettering for doubling, inspect the design for cracks or cuds, weigh it carefully to see if it might be struck on the wrong planchet, check the alignment of obverse and reverse, because you never know, you might be holding a piece of history worth more than anyone around you could ever guess, and that is why the legend of the 2013 D penny valued at $109 million will continue to inspire, fascinate, and captivate collectors and dreamers for generations to come, reminding us all that sometimes the tiniest objects carry the biggest fortunes, the biggest mysteries, and the biggest stories in the history of money.